So Hare Krishna everyone, please accept my humble obeisances. So we'd like to welcome everyone for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagara Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusuke Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Narasimhaiti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaitim Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat So Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Picharine Nirvisesha Sundari Paschatari Sutadine Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नस्तप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यभागवतसेवया Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigamakalpatarurgalitam phalam sukamukadamritadravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhurahu rasika bhuvi bhavakaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre. So Hare Krishna everybody, so welcome back, and we are looking at chapter 16. So we have done already the past two parts. So today we will hope to finish chapter 16. So the title is How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. So a bit of recap. So we heard previously from chapter 16 how Maharaj Parikshit set out. First, he was the emperor of the world. They described him as the emperor of the world, and they described his qualities. They described his, his wife, his kingdom, his children. Yeah, and then after that, how his kingdom was flourishing, and then they were also describing about certain qualities that were certain things that were happening in general within the kingdom, which was significant of the age of Kali. So, there were quarrels going on, certain things were happening, even despite Maharaja's Parikshit's uh, jurisdiction. So then Maharaj Parikshit, as a good king, he wanted to give full protection to his citizens. So he set out with his chariot and with all his weapons on a quest to search all over the world, wherever his kingdom expanded, and he wanted to find out what is the problem. So as he was going about, so he heard about, he stopped in various places, various kingdoms, and each of these kingdoms he stopped. He heard about the pastimes of the Pandavas, and in this way he was received. So eventually, after going to many places, then he finally came across a scene. And in this scene, he saw that there was a bull and that there was a cow. And what was significant about this bull and the cow was that the bull was having only one leg, standing only on one leg, and it was in a very miserable condition. And the same thing was also seen, that the cow was also in a miserable condition. She was standing on four legs, but she was crying, and she looked emaciated, very thin, and she was basically very, very forlorn and crying, lamenting away. So and then on top of that, he also saw a king dressed, a Sudra, a low class person dressed like a king, and that king was hacking away the last remaining leg of the bull. So in this situation, he came and then he wanted to punish this king. So then before this king came, there was some discussion going on between the bull and the cow. So that discussion was being described. So Dharma, basically the bull and the cow, the bull represents Dharma, the personification of justice and religiosity and duty is Dharma, the bull. And he was asking questions to Dharani. Dharani is the cow. Basically, Dharani here, the cow represents the Mother Earth. So the Mother Earth took the form of this cow. So therefore, she is known as Dharani. And the bull was questioning Dharani. So we heard about this previously. So in summary, what were the questions? So basically, the bull was asking, right? Remember how Prabhupada translated how the bull addressed the cow? The bull said, "My dear madam, so you are looking very forlorn and very miserable. So what could be the reason behind this?" So then he asked, "Are you miserable?" So he started recounting all the known causes of misery. Now this is the personification of religion himself speaking. So we can learn from here what are all the causes of misery in this world. So then he asked, "Is it due to disease? Is your face forlorn due to some internal disease? Or is it due to separation over family?" Right? Sometimes people live far away or people have died. So is it due to separation over family? And then he continued further. Is it the state of, are you lamenting because of me? Are you looking at me and then lamenting due to my condition? So in other words, is it due to the state of dharma that you are generally lamenting over the degradation of duty or religiosity in this world which is about to come? And then he also asked, are you also lamenting over fear? Are you having fear of exploitation? So in the future, will you be exploited? Will all the cows and the bulls will be exploited? In other words, will the earth be exploited and will dharma be hijacked? and exploited in the name of all kinds of other things. So is this your fear? Then the bull further asked, or are you upset because of the cessation of sacrifices? Because now no longer sacrifices are going to be performed in the future. He's talking basically about the future, right? Kali. So when everybody stops, nobody bothers to perform sacrifices. Everybody wants instant gratification, instant outcome. They are not willing to put the pain behind it, right? And as a result of cessation of sacrifices, are you lamenting due to the repercussions of this lack of sacrifices? And what are these repercussions? There will be famine and drought. So lack of water, lack of rain, crops will fail, foodstuff will be scant, right? So are you lamenting due to this situation that's about to come? Then Dharma also asked, so as a result of this famine and drought, are you in general crying due to the plight of the people in Kali Yuga? People are going to be very miserable. So are you going to be, are you scared? Are you fearful of that? Are you crying over the fate of unprotected women and children, which is about to take place? Or are you simply crying due to the corrupted nature of the fallen Brahmanas? How the Brahmanas have all become corrupted, how they have, in the name of studies and in the name of, they have used Mother Saraswati in a false manner. And are you also upset because the Brahmanas have all due to, there are two types of Brahmanas. One is the corrupted Brahmanas, and one are the not so corrupted Brahmanas, but due to circumstances, due to the fallen nature of the world, they are forced to take shelter under demons. And because of them taking shelter under demons, demonic people, they have lost their independence and they start to sing the praises of these demons. So are you lamenting for this state? And we can see, right? So cessation of sacrifice causes all these conditions to happen one by one. And then when the Brahmanas fall down, when no longer Brahmanas are virtuous, when Brahmanas are maintained by non-righteous people, then what will happen? Then the Varnashrama is degraded, because the head of the Varnashrama are the Brahmanas. And if anything goes headless, then the entire body has no direction, no vision, and it's simply going towards its own destruction. So are you lamenting over the degradation of the Varnashrama? So that was another question. And as a result of the degradation of the Varnashrama, are you now lamenting over the disorder of all the state affairs? So you can see when Varnashrama is no longer upheld, when Brahmanas are not there, Varnashrama will no longer be upheld. And when Varnashrama falls apart, then naturally the government affairs also will also be degraded. There will be general mass disorder of all state affairs due to lack of vision and Varnashrama. And due to this, are you lamenting due to the general populace who will be led astray? And finally, are you simply lamenting over the indiscriminate eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, which is going to occur? Because the general populace are going to be led astray, they will not know what is right, what is wrong, what is dharma, what is adharma, what is the goal of life, what is the purpose of existence. They won't know all these things. So then they will start thinking that eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are the utmost priorities of life. And they will do this with priority, but at the same time indiscriminately, without thinking time, place, circumstances. They will simply do everything in public. So are you lamenting for the state of people who are thinking this way? So these are all the questions of Dharma, the bull, given to Dharani, the cow. And finally, he also asked one last question. Or is it the real root of your problem? Is it the real reason that you're lamenting is because you are bereft of Krishna's presence? So in other words, Dharma is indirectly telling us that the root of all this is actually lack of Krishna consciousness or lack of Krishna in our lives. So that's the problem with this world. The world does not lack anything. Prabhupada likes to say, the only scarcity in the world is Krishna consciousness. So once that is given to everybody, automatically, one by one, all these things will be solved. And finally, Dharma gives his opinion. After giving all these questions, he gives his opinion. I think, dear madam, that your fortune must be stolen by time, that you were very wonderful at one point of time, but due to the inevitable turning of the wheel of time, all this has come to pass, and your fortune has been stolen by time. So then, Dharani Uacha, Dharani, the cow, the mother, the deity of the mother cow, the mother earth, she replies, O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. And then she starts. Once you too were maintained by your four legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. So she's referring to dharma or religiosity. So we know dharma's four legs are satyam, saucham, tapa, and daya, right? So truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy. So these are the four legs. And now the dharma is simply standing on one leg only. Mercy has been destroyed. Tapa, austerity has been destroyed. Cleanliness has been destroyed. Only truthfulness was remaining. But then again, how long is truthfulness going to remain? When especially the Kali is hacking that remaining leg. You know, the size of a bull. Imagine the body of a bull being held by one leg. It is just about a matter of time for it to collapse. So once you two are maintained by your four legs and you increased happiness because of these four things, because of these four pillars of dharma, of saucham, satyam, tapa, and daya, because everyone was really into these four pillars. They were fully giving their time and their effort towards maintenance of these religiosity principles. As a result, there was happiness which was increasing all around, right, all over the universe by the arrangement and the mercy of the Lord. So then Dharani continues. So you can see her, Dharani and Dharma. So Dharani is standing and Dharma is, all the legs are cut off. And then she continues. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, right? Guna Patrina. Guna Patrina means the reservoir of all good qualities. And Sri Nivasena, that means the place where Sri is residing. Nivasena, Nivasa. Nivasa means a place where they are staying. So where Sri is staying, the abode of the goddess of fortune. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. And then Dharani continues, in his absence, the age of Kali, which was previously checked, has spread its influence everywhere unrestrictedly. So I am sorry to see this condition of existence. So straight away, she talks about the root cause of the problem. So then she continues to glorify that wonderful qualities of the Supreme Lord. Here she says, right, Guna Patrina, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty. So now she begins to elaborate each of these qualities. And all in all, she identifies 40, what she calls as Mahagunaha. So great qualities, Mahaguna. So, of course, we understand that Krishna's qualities are unlimited, right? It is like it's uncountable. But nevertheless, they can sometimes be categorized into different qualities. And these are Mahagunas. So they are just categorized in this way. So here I'm just listing down. So Krishna is interesting. I was thinking, I didn't have time. So probably in the future, I wanted to give names of Krishna for each of these qualities. So, you know, like Daya, he's merciful. So Krishna is also known as Dinabandhu, right? He's also, there are many names of Krishna which reflects this quality of mercy, Daya. So it's also, the word Daya here is intolerance of others' unhappiness. So it's a very interesting way of saying the word Daya. Daya usually means mercy. But here, Prabhupada translates it as intolerance of others' unhappiness. So it's not just that one is able to tolerate other people's unhappiness and then they are being merciful. So this is, the mercy is to such an extent that they cannot be happy unless other people are happy. So if someone is unhappy, it affects their own happiness. So this is the depth of the quality of the meaning of the word Daya. So how can such a person be? That person can only be like this if that person is free of any kind of envy, isn't it? Right? Then they can be completely being in this state of Daya. So Krishna is also called Shah, and he has these qualities in full. So then Krishna is also called Shanti, self-control, right? And he exhibits these pastimes with regards to how he is always self-controlled in any circumstances. He never becomes angry, even in any circumstances. If you remember the pastime of the chastising of Ashwatthama, even in anger, Ashwatthama did such a heinous activity, like he killed the 5 grandchildren, right? The 5 children of Kunti, even when they were young, while they were sleeping at night some more. So it was a very cowardly, heinous act. And even in such a situation, the Lord was externally angry. So he showed he was externally angry. But the translation of that verse was, even despite his anger, his eyes were like lotuses. So the meaning was, the Lord actually, deep inside, he's doing this drama of anger and everything to maintain, because he's upset that the devotees are being disturbed in this way. But at the same time, he has the good fortune. He's always thinking of the well-wisher. He's the well-wisher of every living entity, whether he is an enemy or he's not, whether he's a demon or he's a devotee. The Lord is the ever well-wisher. So therefore, even in situations of anger, he's displaying Shanti, self-control. And we can also see in another example with the gopis, when they're dancing the rasa dance, he disappears, right? He's always in full control of himself, and he's not dependent on anyone. Then there is another Mahaguna, Tyaga. So anyway, before we go there, just wanted to mention also, Prabhupada gives a purport on this Daya, the first quality. So Prabhupada says here, intolerance of another's unhappiness can be subdivided into 2 parts. So this is Jiva Goswami's definition. One is protection of the surrendered souls. So that means he wants to give protection to everybody who is surrendered. So that is intolerance of others' unhappiness. So therefore, Krishna is intolerant of the unhappiness of his surrendered souls. So this is for his nature. And the second part is, at the same time, he is the well-wisher of the devotees. Particularly, he is the well-wisher of everybody. He gives equal opportunities for everyone to become surrendered to him. But particularly, he becomes very affectionate to his devotees. So he's always partial to his devotees. And that is natural, and it's not a fault. Just like how a parent is always equal to all his children, but the child who is most obedient, the parent has special affection. So therefore, in the same way, the Supreme Lord, he is equal to all, but he is always partial to the own surrendered devotees. So he is also Santosha, self. Okay, before that, Tyaga. Tyaga means magnanimity. So he is always merciful and magnanimous. He doesn't stinge. He wants to give and give. He wants to give his entire kingdom of God to all his surrendered devotees. So all he wants is the devotees to come back to him. So magnanimity. There is no limit to what he wants to give. Just like how he gave Dhruva Maharaj a kingdom rivaling even that of Brahma, simply because Dhruva Maharaj came to him and requested. So even after he was blessed, Dhruva Maharaj realized that I don't want these things, I only want you. But Krishna still gave a kingdom even better than Brahma Loka, and that was Dhruva Loka. So magnanimity. Santosha, self-satisfaction. Krishna is always self-satisfied, right? Remember the Atma Rama verse, where he is always blissful, taking pleasure in his own self. That is the unique nature of the Supreme Lord. Arjavam, straightforwardness. Krishna is always showing this quality. Of course, we also say Krishna is crooked. So, but that is a quality which he displays to his pure devotees. So, that's a particular lila or a rasa. But then, in terms of his equality to everybody, Arjavam, he's always straightforward to everyone. There is no trick. In fact, the opportunities are given to every living soul to achieve him. Very straightforward. There is no hidden things behind. Sama, fixing of the mind. So here's another quality, that he is always fixed. He's never to be deviated from his determination. Dhamma, control of the sense organs. So equally he is controlled. Tapa, trueness to one's responsibility. So here are very interesting definitions. Usually tapa means austerity. And here Prabhupada translates it as trueness to one's responsibility. So that is also considered an austerity. So being responsible, like for example, we have various responsibilities in life, isn't it? We have duties as children or parents or whatever, in whichever way, we all have minor, small duties or large duties. So adhering to those duties in a responsible manner itself is tapa, austerity. And that is appreciated by the Lord. So samyam, indiscrimination between friend and foe. So this is what I mentioned earlier. He is sama, right? Samyam here it's referred to. Titiksha, tolerance of the offenses of others. He is tolerant. So even when Shishupal, he was not angry with Shishupal. So it was simply that he didn't want Shishupal to become more degraded, because if someone insults the Supreme Lord, by nature, material nature will degrade him in his next life. So that is the arrangement of universe. So to save him from further degradation, Shishupal was killed after the 100th offense, because he kept his promise to his mother. So again, therefore, he is always tolerant. Titiksha, he is not interested, but he is never tolerant. Though he is tolerant, he is never tolerant when his pure devotees are crucified. So in this way, and that is not a fault also. In fact, that is an ornament to the Supreme Lord. We will hear about it also. So Titiksha, then Uparatihi, indifference to loss and gain. So this is one quality also. Shrutam, following scriptural injunctions. So the Lord always abides. He's not bound by the Vedas. He's not bound by Dharma. And therefore the Supreme Lord, but still to set an example, he says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Yat Shreya Shreshtas, that verse where he says that whatever a great man does, a common man is sure to follow. So therefore, for that purpose, he says, I am God. There is no duty that binds me. But still, I need to set an example. But while setting an example, at the same time, Krishna broke many duties, just to show that he is the Supreme Lord. But if, for example, he stole butter. So normally, then we will say, so therefore it's all right to steal. But the difference between the Lord stealing and our stealing is, by his activities, all his activities, whether he steals, whether he kills, whether he plays with gopis, or whether he steals their clothes, apparently so-called immoral actions also, the difference between our activities and his activities is, such actions, even if they look like they are immoral, they bring happiness to the three worlds. Nobody is unhappy due to it. Even when someone is killed by Krishna, what happens to that person? They come out of this material nature. They attain Brahman at the very least, right? And at the most, they come, like he gave Putana the blessing to become a nurse in the spiritual world in Goloka. So nobody is ever at a loss. By stealing the gopis' butter, were the gopis at a loss? So that is the example here. By stealing the clothes of the gopis, were the gopis at a loss in any way? So whereas if we do these things, then definitely it's going to create karma. So that is the difference. So then Shrutam following, therefore Shrutam following scriptural injunction. So he sets these qualities so that everybody follows. Jnanam, knowledge, virakti, detachment from sense enjoyment, Aishwaryam, leadership, Sauryam, chivalry, Teja, influence, Balam, make possible the impossible. So that is Krishna's expertise. So many situations. How could Bhishma be killed? How could Bhishma be overcome in battle? It's impossible. How could Dronacharya be overcome in battle? It was not possible. So, but still, Krishna arranged. He made the impossible possible. Simply by his arrangement. Simply why? Because he is Yatra Yogeshwara, the master of all mystics. So Prabhupada continues. So he says, hold on. So even though the Lord is equally well-wishing to everyone, so here there's a statement on the equality of the Lord. The unfortunate living being, due to bad association only, is unable to accept his instructions in toto. So therefore, it's not the fault of the Lord. It is the fault of the misused, the jiva who is misusing his free will. So he is called the well-wisher for the devotees only. He appears to be partial to his devotees, but factually, the matter rests on the living being to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord. So it is simply by the desire of the living entities that he suffers in this material world due to his wrong choice. So therefore, we can understand from that. And then as far as knowledge is concerned, jnana, there was something here, jnana, right? 13, number 13, jnanam, knowledge. So Prabhupada makes this point. Knowledge can be further divided into 5 subheadings. So there are 5 things about knowledge. So the first thing about knowledge is obvious. We all know about it, intelligence. Intelligence means supported by, intelligence itself can be broken into, supported by memory. So memory plus intelligence, and intelligence is described as the ability to discriminate. Ability to discriminate means to know what is right and what is wrong. That is intelligence. And another definition of intelligence also, the ability to prioritize. So these two, the ability to discriminate, the ability to prioritize, and memory. So these 3 together makes up intelligence. And then, but intelligence is just one part of knowledge. Just having intelligence alone doesn't mean one has knowledge. So therefore, what else is necessary? Now, the point number 2 is highly interesting, isn't it? The point number 2, what has gratefulness has to do with knowledge? So it's so interesting that Prabhupada puts gratefulness as the second subheading of knowledge, because to be ungrateful simply means to destroy oneself, and that is never for the benefit of the soul. So to be ungrateful to our preceptors, we can be grateful to so many things. So there are different levels of gratefulness. Gratefulness will extend to the parents, to the family, to the community, to the sages, to the scriptures, to the guru, and the guru can be in so many directions, so many ways. So one who is ungrateful is destroyed in this world and the next. So therefore, gratefulness is one of the aspects of knowledge. To know, to be grateful. To forget to be grateful means that knowledge is maya paharta jnana, gone, stolen by illusion. So therefore, gratefulness is very important. 3, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time. Here's another important point of knowledge. Knowledge means not only knowing, knowledge also means how to apply. So it should be applied according to place, time, circumstances, and spoken according to the audience's ability to digest. So that's another aspect of knowledge, right? And for perfect knowledge of everything. So this is also rather obvious. What is everything? Everything here simply means how spirit and matter is defined. So to understand the nature of spirit and the nature of matter is perfect knowledge of everything. If you read Bhagavad Gita, there is one topic in chapter 13. And in chapter 13, Krishna defines there is, what is this knowledge actually? Knowledge is to know, jnana is to know that we are the Purusha, we are the soul. Sorry, not Purusha, we are the what? Kshetrajnan. Kshetrajna means the master of the place, master of the field. That it's like we are the body. That means we are not the body. The body is like the field. The master of the body is the soul. So therefore, to know the body and to know the soul, to know the kshetra, the body, the place, and to know the soul, the master of the body, kshetrajna, and to know the difference between matter and spirit, basically. At the same time, to also know the object of knowledge. The goal of knowledge is jnana, right? There is kshetra, kshetrajna, jnana, and jnana. So jnana is the object of knowledge, to know the object of knowledge. And that jnana is called Krishna or Bhagavan, Purusha, the ultimate enjoyer. So all this is knowledge. So perfect knowledge of everything. And finally, Krishna says knowledge of the self. So here he is referring to the aspect of, it's not just enough to know that we are spirit and body is matter. We have to know what is the connection between us and the object of knowledge. So this is called knowledge of the self. In other words, yoga or bhakti, the union between the soul and the jivatma and the paramatma. That is knowledge of the self. So all this is considered knowledge, jnana. So then Dharani, the cow, the Mother Earth, she continues to highlight another set of qualities, Mahagunaha. Smriti, to find one's proper duty. And then she talks about Swatantriyam, not to depend on others. The Krishna never is always independent. Kaushalam. Kaushalam means dexterity in all activities. Very expert. Kante, beauty. Dhairyam, freedom from disturbance. Mardhavam, kind-heartedness. Pragalbhyam, ingenuity. So many instances where Krishna displays this ingenuity. Whenever he does some activity, he always does 10 other things. He achieves 10 or 100 other things behind that one single activity. Prasrayaha, gentility. He knows exactly how to deal with every type of person in a very beautiful manner. You can see his pastimes in relationship with Satyabhama, with Rukmini, with all the queens, how he's so carefully dealing with their with each of their moods. Sheelam, mannerliness. So he knows exactly how to behave perfectly in the right manners. Whatever he does is the perfect manner. Sahaha, determination. Ojaha, perfect knowledge. Balam, proper execution. Bhagaha, object of enjoyment. He is the object of enjoyment. Gambhiryam, joyfulness. Stairyam, immovability. Astikyam, faithfulness. Kirti, fame. Manaha, worthy of being worshipped. Anahankritihi, pridelessness. So these are some of the Mahagunaha. And Prabhupada gives a point here. The Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone beside himself. So this is referring to the part where this particular term is used, not to depend on others. Swatantriyam, number 20. So Prabhupada says, the Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone beside himself because he is full in himself, Atmarama. Still, he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of his devotees. So this is achintya, inconceivable. He is the Lord of everything. He is the source of everything. He's independent, Atmaram, but still he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of his devotees. Therefore, he tells the gopis, I cannot repay you. I cannot repay the surrender that you have given me. Even if I give myself, so therefore I can only hope to give myself to your service and hope to take your dust off your feet and put on my head. This is what Krishna tells the gopis. So it's a very beautiful quality of the Supreme Lord. And then Krishna, then Dharani continues. All these and many other Gunaha are eternally present. So what are I've mentioned 37. These are 39. Bhagavan. The quality of Krishna is that he is Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who possesses all opulences, particularly the 6 opulences in category. Yeah? Aishwaryam, Viryam, right? Kirti, fame. So the renunciation, knowledge, all this we mentioned already. Some of these things already mentioned. So he's also Bhagavan, personality of Godhead, and he is Nitya, everlasting. So nothing is Nitya in this material world, whereas the Lord is Nitya. So all these and many other Mahaguna, so that's why we mentioned earlier, right? We cannot limit the Lord's qualities to only 40. So these are some qualities which the earth personified has cited. So all these and many other Mahagunaha are eternally present, Nitya, and never to be separated from Bhagavan Krishna. So then Prabhupada gives a point. He says that just like how Anantadev, he has unlimited mouths and he has unlimited hoods and he has unlimited heads. And in this way, he's constantly, with each of his mouths, he's chanting the glories of the Lord. And each time he says something, it's different. And with these millions of hoods and millions of mouths, he's continuously saying since the beginning of time the various qualities and glories of the Lord. And it is said that until now, he's still not completed. It's ever and ever newer and newer qualities. So this is the amazing achintya qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still not possible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. So then, Dharani continues. That personality of Godhead, not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry, not just anybody else who qualifies to be powerful, that personality of Godhead who has these qualities which I described, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Guna Patrena, Sri Nivasena, which we mentioned, Lord Sri Krishna, she defines as that personality of Godhead, has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. And in his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I'm sorry to see this condition of existence. So directly she answers Dharma the bull, the main reason, the root cause of her lamentation. And then she continues to answer the other questions also. So Dharma spoke from the other points and went to the final root point, which is Krishna. And Dharani starts from the root point of Krishna being the cause of her absence. And then she expands, due to the absence of Krishna, what else has happened? What else has happened? What else has happened? And in this way, she is lamenting. So she continues, I am lamenting about, so the word anusochami means I am lamenting about myself, the condition of myself, because she's earth, she's being exploited, right? And she's lamenting about you. I'm lamenting about you, O Dharma. And she calls Dharma as Amara Uttamam. O best amongst the demigods, because religiosity and dharma is extremely important. So she's trying to highlight amongst all virtues, virtue itself or dharma itself is topmost. So therefore, I'm lamenting about the standard of dharma in the coming Kali Yuga. What's going to happen to dharma? What's going to happen to me, to cows and to earth, and what's going to happen to religiosity and virtue? And then she says, I'm lamenting about all the devans. Deva means the devatas. So because the devatas are not going to get their sacrifices within Kali Yuga. But of course, and the devatas have their issues, but Kali Yuga is not a very long period of yuga. It's a short period of yuga, 432,000. So in the period of the devatas, it's not a very long period of time. But nevertheless, it's going to be a bad time, roughly, for the devatas as well. But simply due to lack of sacrifices. But nevertheless, there will still be pure devotees of the Lord simply by the chanting of the holy name. In this way, certain things are maintained. There will be 10,000 years of golden age, right? So this time it will be nice. And then she's also lamenting for the Pitras. The Pitras are the ancestors who have taken the body of Pitr and they live in Pitraloka, and they depend very much on the oblations or the pinda, the foodstuffs which are offered by their descendants. So this is the particular type of a position, right? Pitra, this is in Pitraloka. So this Pitraloka, these Pitras in Kali Yuga are going to be in a bad state also, because they are not going to get these kind of pindas. Majority of the people will not know. And also the rishis and the sadhus who traverse the earth, because nobody will give them due respect. Nobody will give them due appropriate maintenance. They will not be maintained by the governments and all that. And I also lament about the Sarva Varnams Tatashraman. So basically, she's lamenting about all the Varnas, lack of the Varnashram Dharma being upheld. All men and the destruction of the Varna and Ashrama in human society. So she's lamenting about all this. But the root cause was simply because the protector, Lord Krishna, is no longer present. So then Prabhupada gives his purport. So he says, I like this purport very much. Very, very nicely he has, very poetically he has written it. When God made Varnashrama Dharma, which is strictly meant for developing animal consciousness into human consciousness. So this is the purpose of Varnashram Dharma, to develop animal consciousness into human consciousness. Aryan, to know the goal of life. And human consciousness into godly consciousness. So that is further the aspect of Varnashram Dharma. Not only bring to animal to human, but from human to godly consciousness. And when this Varnashram Dharma, which is God-made, is broken by advancement of foolishness. So that's the part I like, what Prabhupada says. Advancement of foolishness, the whole system of peaceful and progressive life is at once disturbed. So this is basically what advancement is all about. So our so-called scientific advancement, our so-called civilizational advancement, it is nothing else but advancement of foolishness. Because ultimately, that it's not going to lead to higher destinations. See, I'm having class. Call tomorrow. Okay, so right, so now we will continue. So then Prabhupada further says, in the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the God created Varnashram Dharma. So Prabhupada says, Varnashram Dharma is the first casualty in Kali Yuga. And Kali knows what to strike. You know, when we want to attack an enemy, the first person the first thing that we will do if an enemy comes, the you know the army people or the police people, they are trained to shoot the head. This is to shoot to kill lah. If at all that's an enemy, right? Or not police, but the army, and the army people, they are the first thing they aim is to kill the head, because when the head is shot, one bullet is enough to kill the entire person. You don't need to shoot so many bullets and all that. So because of that, so the head is the most vulnerable point. So the Kali also knows that. So therefore, what is society's head? Society's head is Brahmanas, right? Their arms are like the Kshatriyas. Their stomach is like the Vaishyas. And the legs and the feet are like the Shudras. So if Kali Yuga wants to destroy society, it will first of all shoot the head. And thus a person who is qualified as a Brahmana is called Shudra. In Kali Yuga, the Brahmana becomes Shudra and the Shudra becomes Brahmana simply by false birthright claim. So this is what Kali Yuga will cause to happen. And then Prabhupada further continues. The real qualification, he reminds everybody, what is the real qualification of Brahmana? So that we need to know what is actually a Brahmana. The real qualification of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses, and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. So you can see here, all these things are part of the Dharma, the four legs of Dharma, isn't it? Cleanliness, truthfulness, tolerance is tapa, like that. So, and at the same time, devotion and faith in Vedic wisdom. So a Brahmana will always make his decisions, or he will teach himself to see the world and to see everything from the eyes of scripture, Veda Chakshu. So this is only possible if he has very strong faith in the Vedic wisdom, in scriptures. So Prabhupada was like that. When people told Prabhupada that, you know, scientists have gone to the moon, Prabhupada was not disturbed. He wasn't moved even in the slightest. He just told, they didn't go to the moon. And then when people pressed him further, they said, yeah, I think they probably went to Rahu. So that was his faith. And true enough, there were many conspiracies that came about later, many documentaries which came about later. But nevertheless, they all became suppressed by the governments. So now you cannot find such things anymore. They hire people to suppress these things. Kind of like the vaccine situation. But anyway, so in the present age, consideration of the necessary qualification is being neglected, and false birthright is being claimed. So that is Kali. We can understand this is Kali. So then Dharani continues. So after stating all this, she says, what did Dharani say? Dharani first said the root cause of a problem, Krishna's disappearance, and then she affirmed every single point that Dharma raised, that yes, these are all the reasons I'm lamenting. And then she says how Varnashram is being destroyed. And then she says, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, for whom they surrendered many a day unto the personality of Godhead. So this is like basically she's again glorifying the Supreme Lord, but she's talking about Lakshmi. So she's saying even the goddess Lakshmi, who all the devatas and all the demons, they desired her in the beginning, because she was actually churned in the, she actually came out from the ocean of milk. One of the names of Lakshmi is Shirja. Shirja means one who came out from Kheer. Kheer is like milk, right? So she came from the ocean of milk. So when the ocean of milk, Samudra Manthan, the ocean of milk was being churned by the devatas and by the demons, many things came out. First thing that came out was the poison, right? Hala hala poison. And then after the poison was cleared, all the froth was removed. Then one by one, many beautiful things came. Many wondrous things came, right? Airavata, the elephant, came out. And then the Devas took claim. And then Uchisrava, the wondrous horse, came out. Then Bali Maharaj, the head of the demons, he took claim. And then like that, one by one, different things came out. And each one took claim. The Devatas took claim, and the demons also took claim. The eighth thing to come out from the ocean was Lakshmi. That's why the number 8 represents Lakshmi. The Chinese like number 8 very much. So this is also true. Lakshmi, the 8th object to come out from that ocean was Lakshmi. And when she first came, everybody thought, wow, who is this wondrous personality? And they all thought, if only she can also be with us. But Lakshmi, she was so great that she was not interested in any of these people. Right? So Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by the demigods like Brahma. So the Devatas wanted her grace. And in this way, just to get this grace, they did whatever the Lord wanted them to do. But nevertheless, what did Lakshmi do? Lakshmi only had eyes for the Supreme Lord, Ajita. So the Supreme Lord Vishnu took the form of Ajita, and she was leading all the Devas. You can see here. Ajita, in the form of the Supreme Lord, he was leading the Devatas in churning this ocean of milk. So she had only eyes for Lord Vishnu. She gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers. Aravinda Vanam. Aravinda means lotus. Vanam means forest. So it is said that Lakshmi resides in the ocean of lotuses. So many lotuses are there, and in there she was born from the lotus in the ocean of milk, and she resides there. So she gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the Supreme Lord. The Mother Lakshmi herself gave up everything to surrender to him. And then, remembering this, Bhudevi or Dharani, she says, I was endowed. Similarly, I was also endowed with specific powers, Vibhutim, to supersede the fortune of all 3 planetary systems. So she's saying, when the Lord was present on earth, she was glorified beyond even all the other lokas. Now, normally, Bhuloka is in the middle, is in the center, right? Above, we have Bhuvarloka and Swarga Lokas, and then the topmost of that is Satya Loka. So, and all these are much more greater, much more glorious. But when Lord Krishna was present on earth, Bhuloka outshone all these other 3 planetary systems. So I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all 3 planetary systems. So simply by being decorated, how was she so glorified? How was she so exalted? What happened to make her so exalted? So she explains, simply by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and the lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. So when the lotus feet of the Lord was touching earth, the imprints of these lotus feet of the Lord being on earth, that itself was sufficient to exalt Mother Earth to such a high position, unprecedented high position. So Prabhupada says here, the beauty and opulence of the world can be enhanced by the grace of the Lord and not by any man-made planning. So this is how we can increase the grace and the beauty of Earth, Mother Earth. So it's not by any man-made endeavor. We cannot do anything. If we are thinking of environmental plans, that is, it may come helpful to some extent, but ultimately the plans will come to naught because there are no virtuous people in this world who will uphold these plans. We can plan, wonderful plans, but it will not come to fruition because simply there are unscrupulous people in this world who are always going to cheat. So that's why the greatest scarcity in this world is Krishna consciousness. When everybody accepts Krishna consciousness and everybody becomes virtuous, then automatically all plans will come to fruition. So Krishna's grace is there. So this is the way to actually enhance the glory of earth. And Prabhupada further says, when the Lord Sri Krishna was present on this earth, the impressions of the special signs of his lotus feet were stamped on the dust, and as a result of this specific grace, the whole earth was made perfect. So this is what I mentioned just now also, right? Simply by the impressions of these lotus feet on earth. Not even by touching of the lotus feet, just by the impressions left, it was sufficient for the earth to become so wonderful. But Bhudevi is lamenting, Dharani is lamenting. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, what happened? She says, the Lord left me. The Lord left me. So this is her lamentation. So then Prabhupada gives his points. One may ask how we can detain the Supreme Lord on this earth. Yes, the Lord has left us already, right? The lotus feet of his impressions is no longer there. There are few places left in this world where there are there. For example, the temple in Gaya, where his lotus feet are there. In certain places in Vrindavan, where his lotus feet is still there, right? In Puri and a few other places. But in general, no longer. Most of it is gone. So Prabhupada says, one may ask how we can detain the Supreme Lord on this earth after his mission is fulfilled and he has left this earth for his own abode. So the answer to that, he also gives, Prabhupada. The answer to that is that there is no need to detain the Lord. The Lord, being omnipresent, can be present with us if we want him, if we want him at all, by his omnipresence. So simply we have to desire his presence. What does that mean? So Prabhupada says, he can always be with us if we are attached to his devotional service. Just like how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, right? Yoginam api sarvesham gatinantar atmanaha. So my devotee who is always thinking of me, he is never separated from me. I am in him and he is in me. So therefore the key here is Vishnu Smaranam or Krishna Smaranam. And how to get Krishna Smaranam? First we have to do Shravanam, hearing. And by Shravanam, we will do Kirtanam. And by Shravanam and Kirtanam, we will come to Smaranam. That is the only way, no other way. So in this way, we will always be united in Seva, Pada Sevanam. And in this way, who is doing Pada Sevanam? Lakshmi. So in the same way, we will always be attached, just like Lakshmi is attached to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Right? So then Prabhupada continues, there is nothing in the world with which the Lord is disconnected. So actually, the whole world represents the Lord. Just like how the Lord in Bhagavad Gita says, right, in the Vibhutis of the Lord, I am the taste in water. Among immovable things, I am the Himalayas. I am amongst water bodies, I am the ocean. Amongst the fishes, I am the shark. Amongst the bees, I am the lion. So these are all earthly, terrestrial symptoms. So, right? So in this way, there is nothing in the world with which the Lord is disconnected from. And indeed, we also hear this. Krishna, he expands himself as Paramatma in every atom and also in the space between atoms. So he's everywhere. So there is nowhere where there is no Krishna. There's no such thing as Krishna. Everywhere there's Krishna. What is the problem? The problem is we cannot see Krishna in everything. So therefore, out of kindness, Krishna manifests himself as his deity, so that we can at least focus ourselves on seeing the forms of the Lord. And he gives his devotees, pure devotees, so we can associate and touch and talk and mix around with the devotees. And he gives his holy names by which we can taste and speak and chant and say the holy names and engross ourselves. So these are his mercy, right? So there is nothing in the world with which the Lord is disconnected. So what remains for us is to reconnect ourselves with everything in this world by connecting with the Supreme Lord. The only thing we must learn is to excavate the source of connection, which is the Supreme Lord, and thus be linked with him by offenseless service. So how can we link with the Supreme Lord? By offenseless chanting, by offenseless seva, right? In this way, we can be eternally linked. So we can say, you know, what is causing us not to be linked? I'm chanting, we are doing this, we are doing that, right? The Lord is giving us, as we go towards him, he also goes towards us. But there are also offenses. So therefore, to that extent where we commit offenses, to that extent, there is still the clouds which are blocking our vision. So we need to focus on this offenselessness of seva. So right now, just like that, for example, right now we are using everything in the technology, right? We use Zoom, we use Facebook, we use Google, we use computers, all for the sake of serving the Lord. So therefore, we are trying to connect again. This is the art of connecting everything. This is Yukta Vairagya, the real renunciation, to use everything in the service of the Lord. So Krishna, Prabhupada says, we can be connected with him by the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. That is the main rope, the main life rope given to us by the Lord. No matter what we do, we cannot let go this chanting of the holy names. We must keep to the vows by the mercy of Prabhupada, 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily. And in this way, we will be delivered by the Supreme Lord. So the offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself. And the movement of pure devotees of the Lord all over the world can at once change the troublesome face of the world. So that's the reason we say the only scarcity is Krishna consciousness. There is no other scarcity. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all effects of the age of Kali. So the ultimate charity we can do to everyone is this Sankirtanam. And Sankirtanam means we ourselves do Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name, and we give with that potency, with that purity, we push the Sankirtan to everybody by mass street chantings all over the world, by Sankirtan everywhere. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says, the Maha Mridanga, the Brihat Mridanga, the great Mridanga is the books. By pushing the books of Prabhupada all over the world, it can be heard, this Sankirtan can be heard in every nook and corner. And like, for example, having classes, now with Zoom, we are able to have all kinds of classes. We can spread this to all corners of the earth. So this is the prime duty and necessity of human civilization. So Dharani says, she continues, O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by the Asura Vamsa Rajnam, and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of Godhead. So she starts to remember how she was saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because, you know, the earth was burdened, and she went and prayed. She went and prayed to Brahma. Brahma said, I cannot do anything. Let's together go and pray to Vishnu. So the Mother Earth in the form of the cow, together with Brahma, went to Shvetadweep and prayed to the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord came and he arranged for the Mahabharata to take place, so that all the adharmic Kshatriyas who allowed the disrobing of Draupadi to happen in the capital of the world, to all of them to be killed. So in this way, the Dharma was again upheld. Similarly, you were also in a distressed condition, she's telling to Dharma, because your Dharma was destroyed in the Rajasabha, in the assembly of the kings in Kurukshetra, in Hastinapura. Dharma was destroyed when Draupadi was disrobed, right? So you were also in a distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength. And thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the Yadus to relieve you, simply to uphold you. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, as Dharma Raja himself, in that assembly, he was brought low, and Draupadi was, as a result, disrobed. So, but Krishna saved Draupadi, and he upheld Dharma, and he arranged this entire Mahabharata war to happen. So Prabhupada says, the Asuras want to enjoy a life of sense gratification, even at the cost of others' happiness. In order to fulfill this ambition, the Asuras, especially the atheistic kings or state executive heads, try to equip themselves with all kinds of deadly weapons, like nuclear weapons or COVID weapons or bioweapons or whatever, to bring about a war in a peaceful society. They have no ambition other than personal aggrandizement, and thus Mother Earth feels overburdened by such undue increases of military strength. So this is the problem with Earth. Because of fear, they come up with military strength. So it's just a matter of time, right? Somebody will say, okay, the technology is there, I better develop bioweaponry. Because if I don't develop bioweaponry, somebody else will develop it. So better I develop it first and keep it. But you know, it never stays kept. It's always being used. People are always itching to use it. So then, you know, these things may happen. So who therefore can tolerate viraham from that Purushottamasya, such a personality of such Mahaguna qualities which he had, and who saved me, and who saved you, and who saved everybody, and who's so merciful? Who can tolerate such a viraham? Viraham means separation from such a personality. He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama. So he's so expert that no matter what kind of moods the queens of Dwaraka or even Radharani and Satyabhama and all the gopis, he could always find a way to conquer them with his sweet words or in different ways. He's expert, therefore he's called expert. How he conquers them? By Ruchira Smita, his sweet smile, by Prema Avaloka, his loving glances, and by Valgu Jalpe, his hearty appeals. You know, he will speak very sweet words, and he'll appeal to the gopis, and he'll appeal to the queens in very sweet, beautiful words. So in this way, he conquers them. When he traversed my surface, when this Lord Purushottamasya, he traveled my surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet. Angri. Angri means lotus feet. And thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hairs standing on me out of pleasure. So Dharani, Mother Earth, is remembering when the Supreme Lord was walking on earth. While Prithvi and Dharma were thus engaged. So this is how Dharani replies to Dharma. So this is the conversation which is being recounted by Suta Goswami to Saunaka Rishi. So while Prithvi and Dharma were thus engaged in conversation, so Suta Goswami is saying, right, what happens? So in this situation, Raja Rishi Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati river where this conversation was taking place, right, which flowed towards the east. So this is how chapter 16 ends. So now we will hear what happens after Parikshit comes and what goes on between the bull, Dharani, Parikshit and Kali. So that will be the next chapter, chapter 17, which is very interesting. So with that, we'd like to end today. Thank you very much. Dharma projihita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya evacha, Patithanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for patiently hearing. Are there any questions? Yeah, what's your question? Okay, Janavi has a question. Say loudly. Loudly.
You said just now that Krishna conquers the gopis with saying nice words, right? Well, Krishna said to Rukmini, those words weren't like exactly nice, right? When he says, why you married me, you shouldn't have married me.
She was joking, she was playing. Krishna was just playing with Rukmini. He wanted to show the nature of Rukmini, how Rukmini is so completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Her mood is different than Satyabhama. Satyabhama, if you go and speak like that, she will know how to talk back in a different way. Her rasa is different. Whereas Rukmini is like, she's like Chandravali. There are two types of gopis. The gopis who like to fight with Krishna, but the fighting causes great pleasure to Krishna. So that is one relationship. And then there is also another set of gopis called Chandravali and her gang. So they are completely surrendered. They will never fight with the Supreme Lord. So amongst unmarried relationship in Parakiya Ras, the relationship of Radharani is superior. This kind of behavior is superior. Whereas in married life, in Swakiya Ras, this in the surrenderedness is more superior. So that's why Rukmini is the chief queen in Dwaraka, whereas, and Rukmini is an expansion of Chandravali, whereas Satyabhama is an expansion of Radharani. So they are married in Dwaraka, whereas in Goloka they are not married. So therefore Radharani is superior. She gives greater pleasure to Krishna. So he wanted to show the nature of Rukmini, how Rukmini is so surrendered that she cannot even tolerate the idea that Krishna is not going to be her husband or anything like that. So extremely, that nature she wanted to glorify Rukmini. Okay, any other questions from anyone else? Okay, so there's no other questions. Thank you very much then. So I will.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Mataji, how is do you know how is Joshna Mataji and all still in the same situation?
No, Mataji, tomorrow she'll be discharged actually.
Oh, but Mahayogi Prabhu, is he still in ICU?
Yeah, still in ICU.
It's the same or getting better or how? Mataji?
Getting better.
Okay, that's good to hear. So anyway, we can all pray for them. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow she will be discharged, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Thank you for telling that. Okay, that's great. All right, then I'll see everybody. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Have a good week.
Hare
Have a
Krishna.
good week. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu.